Thank you for coming back. And as I dive in deeper into the four agreements, I wanted to touch base on the second agreement, which is don't take anything personally. That's easier said than done. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, right. But there were some really good nuggets up in here. Let's begin with, I want to read an excerpt from the chapter. You take it personally because you agree with whatever was said. As soon as you agree, the poison goes through you and you are trapped in the dream of hell. What causes you to be trapped is what we call personal importance. Personal importance, or taking things personally, is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. During the period of our education or our domestication, which to the author, the domestication is like when we're being raised. We learn to take everything personally. We think we are responsible for everything. Me, always me. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. All people live in their own dream, in their own mind. They are in a completely different world from the one we live in. We take something personally. We make the assumption that they know what is in our world, and we try to impose our world on their world. When I saw it in that perspective, it's almost liberating, at least like how I took it. The second agreement, don't take anything personal. The core points of that chapter is nothing others do is because of you. People act, speak, judge, and react from their own internal world, from their belief systems, their wounds, fears, and their own projections. When you take these things personal, you are handing your power, your personal autonomy. You're putting their perception onto you. And really, all of these things that you're burdening yourself with is from their lens, from their experience. And when you examine it the way the author does, it's like, oh, when you look at the situation, whatever triggered you, whatever like stung, whatever it is that caused you to become defensive, you realize, oh, this is not about me. Yes, it is reflecting something to me, but whatever it is that they're saying, that part is not about you. What is about you is what it inspired, what it triggered, what it aggravated, what the response that it drummed up in you. You're responsible for you. You're not responsible for what they said about you or what they think about you. You're responsible about the entity that is you. What people say about you is often a reflection of who they are. Praise and criticism come from the same place, personal opinion. You as a person are filtered through the third party's past experience, emotional state, unhealed trauma, expectations, and their own insecurities. Why taking things personal hurts so much? Because it creates emotional suffering that is optional. You opted in for that. The moment that you invite people into your internal process or you confide in them, right there is you're inviting them and their perspectives and their insecurities and their projections into your own issue. And that's okay because we do that as a society to connect with others. We want to be able to be understood. I feel like that the human experience invites others into their lives because that we find that fundamental in how we construct relationships and how we construct connection. And we as individuals, at least I speak for myself, I want to be understood. I want to be understood over being influential. I want to feel they get me. And hopefully you get me. But if you don't, based on this book, I shouldn't take it personal, because something in the process, you're going to reflect back, and if it stung, then maybe it's something for me to pivot, or if it stung, it's something for me to address. And it is a freeing experience because it gives you ownership of your own happiness, ownership of what is yours. Like, I feel like a lot of the reason why people tend to say, hey, I am so unhappy, or my life took these turns, or, these people are responsible for how I ended up as an adult. No, you have to take ownership. Like, okay, yes, there's circumstances and there's people that put things on you and may have derailed you or had bumper car you into a different direction in life. But at some point, listen to me. At some point, and I feel like I've said this to my eldest and I've said this to myself, you got to pick yourself up from your bootstraps and quit the victim narrative and go out there and show up for yourself. And that starts by not taking things personal from the peanut gallery. Don't listen to the peanut gallery. It's like you got enough things in your own room, in your own head, the things that we carry, the things that we don't share, for you to be adding on the extras. I think that the real nugget here is that this, like, not taking things personal, the way that the author says it, it keeps us from emotionally tethering ourselves to people who may not even be self-aware. Like, what I think that people need to understand is that emotional IQ is a real thing, and that it is just as a real thing as educational IQ. And aptitude varies from person to person, and understanding that sometimes you're dealing with an individual who may not be equipped to understand you at your level, to emotionally, like, be as developed as you. So it's apples and oranges. It's not that the fruit is any less valuable, but you're not going to connect and you're not going to find the level of depth that you're looking for, or the level of validation, because you guys see the worlds differently, because you both literally have two different worlds operating. That person has their own internal world and you have your own internal world. If you find yourself where in the deep, dark depths of your internal process and in your internal room, you feel you are not as adept to emotional awareness, start by assessing what wounds that childhood left you. That is my advice to you. Like, I thought about this and I said, hey, sometimes you take the human experience and you meet individuals and they reflect back at you, not only like your insecurities, but also the things to aspire to. And when you find yourself that you are lacking, up against your counterparts, rather than go into the ego and go into defensive mode and go into envy and jealousy and coveting what others have, ask yourself where you can improve. And what I realized is, like, when I started to think about, like, the major causes, the root to my own issues, a lot of it had to do with childhood. Why was I difficult? Why was I emotional? Why was I hard to deal with? Why was I aggressive? Why was I angry? My childhood needs weren't met and they carried over. And I didn't have the emotional capacity to address that until I realized that that was an issue. So for reflection, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, what needs of yours as a child were not met? And we're not here to blame our parents. We're here to work through these issues so that we can establish peace of mind, peace of soul, peace of body, so that we can establish balance within our own life for ourselves in order to reinforce personal power, to take away the power from everyone else and establish our own agency as an individual. My next question to you: how does that translate into adulthood? How did the needs that I needed to be met as a child transferred into adulthood? How did I carry that in? What did that affect? How do you project that onto others? Like the needs that I didn't get met as a child, how do I project that onto others, and how do I project that and carry that into my interpersonal relationships? Your interpersonal relationships are the people that you live with, that you interact with on a daily basis in an intimate setting. And intimacy is not a sexual of nature. It's an overall nature. Intimacy, you find it with your parents, you find it with your siblings, you find it with your children, you find it in the chosen family, like your friends. So ask yourself, what do you put onto your friends? Like that's how you relate. That turns into, you know, how, your identity as you see it in your world, but it also translates into the identity that is shown onto the world. Ask yourself, how has that shaped your identity? The one that is in your personal heaven, your personal world, in your room. So read the room. Read your room. And if you can't, follow me and let me help you by giving you a glimpse into how I read my room. So I need you to understand that emotional detachment doesn't have to equal coldness. There's people that navigate through this world and they feel that by detaching emotionally, it keeps things clean by operating out of logic. Removing emotion keeps them in control. And they need to be in control. I think that what that does is, yes, emotions need to be in control, but I think it removes a very important component, and emotions cannot just be like suppressed. They cannot be turned off like a light switch. They need to be like dissected and analyzed when the moment is ready. Don't push yourself to do it before you can, and don't push yourself because someone tells you you need to. Don't push yourself because you're on a perceived time clock. Healing happens when you're ready for it to happen. Like acting like you're healed and you're not, that's just being performative, and you're only lying to yourself. So either do the work but don't act like you're doing it. Like, you know, if you're like, this is all your own personal power. Like when you're performing for the masses or you're performing for other people, this is when you need to decide and you go, hey, like, I'm not going to take this personally because I'm not going to do it for me, not for anyone else. I don't need them to understand me. Not taking things personal doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't internalize other people's chaos. You don't absorb their emotional debris. Their emotional debris literally has nothing to do with you. It has to do with how they have chosen to do their own internal work. So don't sign up for those agreements. Unsubscribe. Just like you do when the emails back up and you realize that you got like 15,000 emails that you haven't addressed. Just start unsubscribing to the narratives, to the projections, to the negativity, to the constant processing of their lives, but they're refusing to initiate change. They're refusing to make small changes, actionable changes that are going to lead to greatness, that are going to lead to, yes, it's going to be uncertainty. It's going to be different, but it is going to be a more balanced and evolved state. And those are the things that you should subscribe to, along with subscribing to my channel, by the way. Had to throw that in there. Rather than taking it personal, ask yourself, what is the person reflecting back to me? Why am I bothered? Why am I so pressed? Like, why does this hurt so bad? And understand that what it's reflecting is that it's tapping into something that we as individuals may need. We want validation. We want approval. We want to be seen. And we want to be seen as right. We want to be seen as good. I want to be seen. I want to be seen and I want to be valued. But I don't want to measure myself to that. I want to be seen because someone is intentional with their time. They're intentional with their care. When they get on the phone with me, they're listening to what I have to say because they value me in their life. That's how I feel seen. I feel seen in the small gestures people do to connect. Not because I want my horn tooted. I want like, yeah, like you get the gold star, Rissa, like, here you go. No. Because there's a lot of people that want to be seen. They want to be validated. They want to just be right. They want to prove to you that you don't understand yourself. They want to prove to you that they've figured you out and that they've assessed what it is that you need to do for yourself, that you come to them with a problem. Okay, this is X problem. Hey, so-and-so, I don't know. I had this problem and I don't know why this is happening to me. Oh, well, this is happening to you because of X reason. And then it may take you some time and they may be right or they may not be right. But guess what? That autonomy is yours. You need to assess that and assess where that's coming from. But when you assess that it's coming from their own projections, their own insecurities, their own past experiences, their own trauma, and what they want to project onto you. And understand, and I always tell my kids, check your source. Like, understand where this person is coming from. And when you're taking into account someone's value, check your source. Like, look at your source material. Check where, like, who they are as an individual. Because there's a lot of people that they love to navigate other people's problems, but they don't navigate their own. They refuse to do their own internal work and they just want to be right. And I've had instances where people are busy telling me like about myself or telling me about what I need to be like realizing, right? And I realize that, and I can hear and I can read that space in our conversation, and I can read that tension where they're like, oh, I'm right. Or when I come to a realization, they're like, yes, I'm right. I was right all along. Guess what? Know-it-all? You may be right, but you're not righteous because your intention speaks for itself. Your intention fills up the silence. And your intention of being right negates every kind of validity to your argument that you had. So just because you're right doesn't make you righteous. It makes you not clean with your word. It doesn't make you impeccable with your word. So it's kind of like two wrongs don't make a right. Well, guess what? You trying to be right and be seen as being right and this authority on this piece of information or this little like, ooh, you got to look at where the intention is coming from. And that speaks more volumes about you. And you got to also be very careful who you invite into your internal world, who you invite into your internal process, because not everyone should be privy to that. Not everyone is going to be as delicate with your world as you are. And if you're already having issues with how you narrate in your own element and how you talk to yourself, imagine if you're struggling with being impeccable with your word, and then on top of that, you take things personally. That noise, that collective in your head is going to interrupt your own clarity, your own intuition, your own personal guidance, your own personal fortitude. Your like it's gonna interrupt so many ways for you to show up for yourself. So I'm gonna leave you with this last parting insight. Remember that you're the captain to your ship. You decide which winds are going to deflate you and which winds are going to set you up to sail. Navigate yourself accordingly. Bye.